Welcome into I Said What I Said. I'm Brad McKay. That's Tyson Gentry. This is our college football betting episode, week 3 edition. And before we get into it, Tyson, not the best week for us, but we don't shy away from anything. We'll come in here and we'll recap every single time. That's what we do here. So if you are joining us for the first time, we go through a recap screen every single week. I had a rough one after a bounce back in week 1 from week 0. So I lost 3.24 units. I got Iowa State home plus 3.5. That was good. I laid it with Ohio State minus 37.5, complete domination. So I was feeling good about that there. Now, the Utah play of the week minus 14.5. The fact that didn't get home is disgusting. Cam Rising gets hurt and they don't score a single point. It was horrendous. It looked like they were sleepwalking. Oregon minus 20.5. Wrong read. That's a mistake by me. The line moved completely against me towards the end of the week. SMU minus 11.5. Listen, I've had a rant about them in our previous episode, so I'm not going to get into this, but bad. And you want to talk about a bad read. Michigan plus 7. I tried to be smart. I tried to be sharp. They just suck. Texas steamrolled them. And then North Carolina minus 22. I laid the points. The offense looked good. The defense was bad. That's what I was worried about, and it came back to bite me as the only one by 18. So bad week for me, Tyson.
And I'm trying to claw myself out of this whole game week by week, just up 0.72 units this week, folks. So pretty big money for me. I had Boise State, Oregon over 60.5. Thank you, to everybody that stayed up to watch that game, to celebrate that one with us. Thank you, special teams especially. Washington State minus 1.5 got home for me. Oklahoma State minus 7.5 was, I don't deserve it. I don't like this. That doesn't make any sense. I won the bet, but I had to watch the game, so I don't know if that counts. My play of the week was Colorado, Nebraska over 56. Wasn't even like it was 28. I was feeling like maybe Nebraska's going to get here or Colorado's going to come back. Not even close. And then App State got the doors blown off them. I also did a rant a little bit about that. I had my hand up on the last episode, but Brad, it's officially fall here in Montana, so I feel like I'm in football mode now.
Well, we better start figuring it out soon. I mean, you're having a much better season than me, minus 1.68 total. I'm down 5, so we're down 6.68 on the season as a show, but that's all right. We got plenty of football left to go. And so let's get into it. Week 3 picks, Tyson. I'm going to start off my play of the week. I'm 0-2 so far. I'm trying to get back off the schneid. So let's start here. The Liberty Flames minus 23, minus 110 on DraftKings. Now, power ratings wise, there's a huge edge in one of the sets I look at. 32.5 is the spread there. 21.5 on the other one. I'm comfortable enough with the difference. Honestly, I think the second set probably reduced them, I guess, for lack of a better term, too much just because of how they looked last week. But that was on the road. I mean, I think this is a full bounce back here. Their offense is 5th in EPA per rush. The opposing defense they're facing is 73rd in EPA per rush. And then Tyson, I think Caden Salter hasn't looked fantastic this season, but with 61st in EPA per pass, but the defense 101st in EPA per pass. I think this is where Liberty starts asserting themselves. They're going to go crazy on the ground. Salter is going to be able to throw the ball all over the field, and I think they take advantage and cover this number.
It doesn't make a ton of sense because the defense is like all graduating at the end of this year. Like they played a ton of college football. You think that's going to find its level at some point. Brad, my play of the weeks haven't been so hot either. So I'm going back to the well, and I'm going way, way back to 2023, 2022 here, folks. I'm going with the Tulane Green Wave, plus 13.5 playing Oklahoma. This is one of the bigger differences probably between the two of us is like you're talking about the models and the predictions and the power ratings and all of that stuff. And they all think Tulane's getting smoked. Like it's supposed to be an 18 point game, a 15-point game, depending on where you look. I'm too stupid for all that. I don't care. I don't think Oklahoma's looked like world beaters. Tulane's covered twice. They're completing 70% of their passes. They're moving the ball on the ground. I think they're top 30 in total offense. And we talked about it a little bit in the preview show. One of these teams is probably going to lose, man, at the 11 through 14 spot here. And I'm calling my shot that Tulane's going to give Oklahoma a run for their money.
Tyson, I'm going to just jump into this one because this is the first time we've had a mano-a-mano on the show, and so I'll tee it up here. This is why I like Arizona, Kansas State to go over 60.5. That's minus 105 on FanDuel. I've watched both these teams. I don't think these defenses are very good. Now, as far as the Arizona thing is concerned, I mean, they look good against Northern Arizona. They got completely torched by New Mexico and their mobile quarterback, Devin Dampier. Avery Johnson's mobile quarterback. I think this could be a big game offensively for Kansas State. Arizona's 85th in EPA per rush, 98th in net points per drive. I think Kansas State gets their offense rolling, especially after they kind of came alive late against Tulane. Then are we really thinking that Arizona's not going to be able to score points? I mean, I know it was an anomaly and it was a weird game against Northern Arizona. Folks, Noah Fifita and Tet McMillan are going to go off, and especially if Kansas State's going to give up the big plays that they did last week. Plus, Arizona's got a bit of a running game, too. They could be a two-dimensional attack. That does scare me a bit if they have to lean on the ground game with the poor offensive line that they have because they're injured. But I like the over here, Tyson. Tell people why you like the under.
I think the clock's going to run, brother. I think that Arizona's going to look for that big play as much as they can get it, but it's not going to be found. And you're going to turn around and hand the ball off. And I can account for 4 Tet McMillan touchdowns here, and I think I'll be okay on this number. Now, I think there's a bigger chance Kansas State carries this game to the over rather than Arizona just by I think the takeaways will be there to be had. I think Arizona's probably going to go hunting a little bit. Let's test our round one guy against some of these dudes and just kind of chuck this thing up. But I can't get what I saw against Northern Arizona out of my head. And maybe I'm going to be wrong, but right now I think that could be who this team is for real. Like they come out week one and smoke the worst team in the FBS, and they look poor against an FCS opponent.
Well, at least we're not both going defeated and not getting a game like we did in week 0, so that we're guaranteeing something here. Now, coming out of a mano-a-mano play, we're going to be on the same page on this one because I'm laying Missouri minus 16. That's minus 110 on DraftKings. Power rating standpoint, 22.5 on one. The other one, it's 11. So there's a little bit of, kind of discrepancy between the two here. But I think that's overrating what Boston College did, at least in the secondary one against Florida State. I don't think Florida State's very good. And Boston College took advantage of going on the road and something that, I think Missouri's going to be able to cover. I mean, really just a naked bootleg, and it just completely flustered Florida State and they couldn't guard it. So what I'm looking at too here, Missouri's actually quietly a good defense. And I think, you see the big points they score, Brady Cook throwing it around, the offensive guys. But Tyson, they're 10th in EPA per rush and 11th in EPA per pass this year. Now they haven't played world beaters, so this will be their biggest test. But they were also very good last year. They had a bunch of guys returning. I think this is a good unit, and I think they're going to be able to score points on Boston College. And I do think they cover this number at 16.
Yeah, and you laid it out pretty well there. I'm on the same play here with you. I also think that this might be more of an indictment on Florida State at the end of Saturday than it is on Boston College if Missouri is able to do what we think. Boston College looked awesome, and they got to play against this level of athlete and this level of competition. For you audio listeners, I'm doing air quotes, but in their win against Florida State, so they're not going to be scared or intimidated or anything like that. I just think Missouri's a playoff team. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what I think this is. And SEC playoff teams win these games by 30.
When you're coming off a bad week like me, you're looking for answers. You're looking for something that's going to get you through. What do? You go to your old, reliable. And for me in this case, I'm dying on the hill with Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. Give me minus 6.5, minus 112 on DraftKings. Here's the deal, folks. I know that South Carolina looked good going on the road and spanking up on Kentucky. This is a different level of athlete down in the Bayou. And South Carolina's coming home fat and happy. Is there anything more South Carolina than fucking choking in front of their home crowd when they think they can win, coming off a big win? In all seriousness, I just think, I know LSU has problems running the rock. Brian Kelly gets his teams ready to play week after week and build upon the success, or at least the early portion of the season. I know the Nicholls State thing didn't look good. I know the USC thing was poor. But this is a time where they come in, just put their foot down, put the boots to somebody. And Nussmeier, I think, is going to throw the rock around the yard, and they're going to take care of business here by a touchdown. You
got more confidence than I do, brother. I sure hope you're right. Go Tigers. I'm going a little doom and gloom here for the next couple. I'm going under 43.5 points in the Utah State game. Cam Rising's out. I think Utah State stinks. I didn't like what I saw from that Utah offense to end the game last week. And I know Brad's right there with me. It was over and over and over again. Guys are open, and that's the thing. It was maybe those passes are completed this week and touchdowns are scored, but some of these things weren't even close, man. And the other part is Utah might be able to get away with 31 here, and Utah State doesn't score enough to cover. This is still a winning defense.
Tyson, I'm going to stay in the SEC. I'm going to go to the Alabama Crimson Tide laying 16 on the road against Wisconsin. That's minus 110 on DraftKings. Now, it's a lot. And we talked about it in our preview show and kind of recapping it for the week and looking ahead. This is the game on the schedule that you're like, man, something wacky could happen because something always happens weird in college football. But I'm just not buying it, folks. I mean, Bama's defensive advantage, and I'm sorry, the offensive advantage that they're going to have in this game, to me, is going to set them apart. They're 18th in rush EPA. They're second in pass EPA. Tyson, they have a big explosive plays. We know that's kind of the trademark with Milroe, and then with Kalen DeBoer coming in, they've been able to put up numbers. Now, it wasn't as great against South Florida. I think you're kind of looking ahead a little bit to Wisconsin if you're Bama, but on the flip side, Wisconsin, 92nd in rush EPA and 112th in pass EPA. Oh, my God. I mean, this defense has been horrendous since Luke Fickell came in and took over. And how about this one? Tyler Van Dyke, you're going to beat Alabama, Tyson. Their offense, 71st in rush EPA, 107th in pass EPA. So you get those poor numbers. And how about this? Alabama's 41st in rush EPA and first in pass EPA. So Tyler Van Dyke has a problem moving it through the air anyway. Now he plays this Alabama Crimson Tide defense. Good luck. I think Alabama makes a statement here and blows them out in Camp Randall.
Well, the good thing for Tyler Van Dyke is he has like 7 more years of eligibility, so he'll get another shot. That dude's older than us. I'm going with the under here in the BYU-Wyoming game. This is another one where I just think they both suck. That's about as simple as it gets, folks. I think the Wyoming is disgusting on offense. I think we made fun of Iowa a bunch. Wyoming would kill to have Brian Ferentz right now. In that offense. And I think BYU sucks as well, man. And I know that you were, what if BYU can score points this week and all that stuff? But what if they can't? What if that's just who this team is? And that's I'm thinking that the quality of football this week, Brad, I don't think it's going to be great across the board. And that's just the vibe I'm getting.
Well, for my next one, I had to take an SEC team against a Big Ten team, but I'm going to go back to a Big Ten team here in the Iowa Hawkeyes laying 22.5 at home against Troy. That's minus 105 against FanDuel. Listen, I know Iowa's hard to watch. I picked against them last week. Maybe I'm trying to be the Iowa whisperer, man. Maybe I'm against them one week and I'm right on them this week. That would be nice, little 2-0 on Iowa against the spread picks. But power ratings wise, 26.5, 23.5 should be the number based on those power ratings. What happened last week? They got a little too cute on offense. They threw that throwback pass. They kind of got away from the run. It wasn't the typical Iowa game. I think they're going to get back to smash mouth football against a Troy team who has a hard time defending the rush. They're 116th in EPA per rush. I think that just sets up for Iowa to eat. Then where are these defensive turnovers? Where are these sacks? Where are these special teams plays? That's happening here. Kinnick Stadium's going to see some Iowa football this weekend, and they're going to take it out on Troy. It's nice that they came off the upset and the disappointing loss. They get to stay at home, so I think they're going to put the boots here to Troy.
I can't believe who you're turning into with all of these other Big Ten schools on your bet slips week after week. I don't know. I mean, there's 19 teams in the conference or whatever, so you do what you want.
Yeah, you're right.
Another under here, folks. Central Michigan, Illinois. Look, I think that I might get away with something here, and Illinois' defense is legit and for real, and this is a really good team. And the other part is they're coming off a huge win. That was a massive week last week for them taking down Kansas, and so I think that this would be potential for a little bit of a hangover to start the game here. It's a kick at noon for me, so it's a fairly early game as far as all things considered. And then on top of it, I just think Illinois is a lot better. They might just suffocate Central Michigan,
Yeah, the defense looked good. I mean, they kind of corralled Kansas, which is an explosive offense. I know that was at home, a little sleepy maybe on the offensive end than this one. So, yeah, I think that's an interesting look. That's a lot of points up on the board, actually. So, this one kind of scares me a bit, Tyson, but this is a principal play. I'm taking App State money line on the road. That's minus 118 on FanDuel. So they're traveling to East Carolina. And so I'm hoping my dad doesn't listen to this. He played for East Carolina. And he was telling me, oh, my East Carolina friends are going to say we suck this year. I'm like, no, I think you guys are actually going to be pretty good. Oh, they're 2-0. They beat Old Dominion on the road. And I think they're flying high on this one. And App State's coming off a huge beat down against Clemson. That was ugly. But here's kind of my principle on stuff like that. I think when a team steps up in class, like App State had to do against Clemson, and they go down and play somebody at their level or below them, because, I mean, App State was the favorite to win their conference. All of a sudden the passing lanes are a little bit more open. The offensive line can get a little bit more push. The running back all of a sudden starts to find a hole. And then when you're getting after the passer, it's a little bit easier. We don't have to go through some NFL guys on the other side. This line's going away from me. Like, it was 2.5. It's down to 1.5 as we're recording here on Thursday night. Ooh, so this does scare me. But, this is a play, Tyson. We kind of talk about it. When you see these guys in the group of 5 and they're the best ones, sometimes you just got to roll with them. So I'm taking App State money line.
I think you got to apologize to both your parents. I think that's a step too far. I could stomach you playing Ohio State last week, but now, I mean, you've gone off the rails, man. I'm going to New Mexico plus 28.5. I'm going to try to get away with this one too. I like it over that 28.5 number, that 4-touchdown number. I think that Auburn, is going to win the game, and I think they're probably going to win the game comfortably. I also don't think Auburn's shown me that they can score, a ton of points here, and I think this could be your 31-7, 38-12 game. It is never really close, but we still get home.
Yeah, sorry, Tyson. I didn't have that one plugged in here. So
that is okay.
I'm curious about this one, though, because I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast, and Bud Elliott was talking about this. Like, this is like a must-win for Auburn, because if they don't make a bowl game, their plans of like building and recruitment is going to go off the rails. So this one I'm curious to see, because a lot of talent down south has gone to Auburn and on the recruiting trail.
How many must-win games has Auburn lost in the last 7 years?
Yeah, it has not been pretty. That's for sure. Okay, I got a couple here. I'm taking Colorado State over 57.5. That's minus 108 on DraftKings. Here's the deal, folks. I'm still not buying the Colorado defense. Like, Nebraska had how many? Like 15, 16, 25 points. I don't even know how many called back because of holding penalties. I mean, they would have scored a million times. So I think kind of throw out that score of the game. It was a complete domination up front and in the trenches. Now, I don't think Colorado State's going to be able to do that, but they're locked into this game. I think they're going to throw the ball around. They showed that they can move the ball on Colorado last year. Plus, now Colorado State is home. So I think, that will help their offense. And on the other side, this is a game to me that Colorado just explodes on offense. Like, Travis Hunter is going to go crazy. I mean, they have to, right? Like, Shedeur Sanders is going to go crazy. Colorado State's defense is 102nd in the country in EPA per pass. If you can't score on this defense, we got to have real conversations here. So to me, this has a fireworks game written all over it.
I love it. And welcome to the pack, Colorado State. How is this Colorado State game? Are they going to get rid of this now? We'll figure all that out. My last one here, Brad. Texas Tech they're the pits. They're the worst. So I'm going North Texas plus 10.5. Put your 5-star freshman wide receiver on the field. What are we doing at Texas Tech, dude? And I can't put him on the field because I have to take somebody else off. Why is he there then? In this era of college football, you get one of those like whales in recruiting, and you're going to decide, you know what? I'd rather start off the way we did. I'd rather not score any points on offense. And it sounds like that's going to happen again. Brad, that's a recipe for disaster. North Texas has some burners on the outside. They can play fast. They can be physical. I can't believe this line is 10.5, and the fact that I like it is even more insane.
Oh boy! All right, Tyson. I'm going to get a little crazy here for these last couple. So I'm taking Wyoming plus 10.5. That's minus 105 on MGM. Bet MGM. Now you already played the under in this one, so it makes me feel a little bit better. A little correlated play, but holy smokes, Wyoming stinks. But this is just a play against BYU. Coming off their win against SMU, that was a massive victory for those guys. I mean, just a huge win. But it was 18-15.
It was bad, dude.
It was horrible.
It was SMU playing horrible football for 60 minutes, and BYU looked up at the end and said, oh, sweet, we won.
Right. Like that, and Ken Matiolo, not very good coming off of the wins here. Or no, I'm sorry, Kalani Sitake. Yeah, BYU, Kalani Sitake. Excuse me. So, and they got to go back on the road. They got to go to Wyoming. It's huge altitude there. Power ratings wise, one has 6.5, one has 13. I think that's an overrating of this win that they just had. SMU played terribly. I got to take the points here. I have to do it. So that's a gross one. And then how about this one to close out? Fresno State, Tyson. I mean, Oh boy, minus 19.5. This is at home, minus 110 on DraftKings. Now, this is another one that's one power ratings 25.25, the other one 17.75. So, there's a little kind of split the difference here. That's what you're getting with this number. 3 touchdowns to me is something that Fresno State can win by. I mean, New Mexico State lost a tough game, man. Like they lost a tough game to Liberty. Like where is their head at after pretty much squandering that? Like they could have taken down somebody who was like seen as the best group of 5 team in the country, at least somebody who could represent the G5 in the college football playoff. Now they got to go on the road. They got to travel to Fresno and face this veteran quarterback attack. I think, New Mexico State proving to be better than people thought coming in, but I just don't think this team's very good. And Fresno State's got a little bit veteran leadership, good quarterback play. I think they can really blow them out here.
I love it. That's a 10-1 slip for you.
Let's go. We need it, man. We need it. That's for sure. But Tyson, you and I were both looking for team totals. I don't think they were coming out here on Thursday as we record this. So if we do find something we like, where else can they find the remainder of our picks?
Discord, people. Hop in the app. I said what I said. It's up on your screen. Link is in the description, all of that good stuff. Just go ahead, click it, hop right in. Brad and I are rolling a little bit with our primetime props. We had a minor setback Sunday Night Football week 1, but we've been keeping it rolling, and it's something fun that we do, and we want everybody else to get in there and kind of play it with us. We got a little bit of a community built up, so whatever you're thinking of playing, hop in there. Brad's got the craziest stuff you can imagine as far as long shots go, so you can hop in there and just bet the opposite and take your 40 cents a day, and you'll be just fine.
I'm boycotting the tight ends. Tight ends are not my friend. Like, subscribe, and share the show on the way out, guys. Smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Say subscribe. We got a ton of content coming out, and NFL week 2, we're in it, man. Football season. So we'll talk to you guys then. Peace.